What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist, part of One Mind Syndicate, and today I'm back to talk about Warhammer 40k. Today we are continuing the Halloween-themed videos with one I'm sure you'll love. I'm here to talk to you about demonic possession and the Sisters of Battle. And speaking of possession, there's actually a movie out there that shows you just how awesome 40k and horror work well together, and that is none other than Event Horizon. It's not an official GW movie, but it fits perfectly when it comes to like a pre-40k movie, in that it involves people learning about interstellar travel through the warp, and they're basically getting messed around with the forces of chaos. So go ahead and check out Event Horizon if you want a science fiction horror movie that has that 40k feel to it. But today, let's go ahead and dive into the possession of the Sister of Battle, Bella. The planet of Arrakis lay shrouded in an aura of decadence, shadow, and decay. A small shrine world once revered for its purity had become a focal point for the insidious influence of the Prince of Pleasure, Slaanesh. For the past 6 days, the inhabitants of this world heard voices of women whispering in the wind. The alluring call to enter the ocean with the promise of a baptism of ecstasy grew stronger each day, until most of the populace had already fallen victim to these demands. They ended up disrobing themselves and entered the waters, filled with hope, but were met with claws, tentacles, and fangs. The demonettes of Slaanesh had drowned all those that came to their shores, until the ocean became a bright, bloody red. The Sisters of Battle from the Order of the Valorous Heart were dispatched to cleanse the taint threatening to envelop the once faithful world of Arrakis. Sister Eleonora stood at the forefront of her squad, the weight of her eviscerator heavy in her hands. Her sisters, each adorned in their distinctive power armor, mirrored her grim determination. They were the Emperor's shield against the encroaching darkness, but whispers of temptation lingered in the air like a noxious miasma. These seductive whispers, hoping to break down their faith, was unrelenting. A bloody rain met them as they made planetfall. They arrived at the capital with no resistance, not a single person in sight, and yet these whispers only grew louder. As they walked through the city towards the cathedral, shadows crept around every corner, and when they finally arrived at the gates, bloody footprints were the only thing welcoming them inside. No signs of a fight or even a struggle. The doors were simply wide open. As they advanced through the dilapidated halls of the once sacred cathedral, flickering shadows danced along them. Strange murals depicting the alluring forms of Slaanesh seemed to pulse with a life of their own. Eleonora's heart raced. She felt an unsettling pull, a flicker of doubt igniting within her. "Stay vigilant," she commanded, but even as these words left her lips, she sensed a shift in the atmosphere. The air thickened. Soft and melodic laughter echoed from the depths of the cathedral. It was a sound both enchanting and horrifying, luring at the edges of their minds. Suddenly, Sister Bella, one of the most devout members of the squad, halted, her eyes glazing over as she turned towards the sound. "Do you hear it?" she murmured, her voice almost a sigh. "It's beautiful." "Eleonora, we must," Sister Mara began. But it was too late. The song wrapped around Bella like a silken thread, tugging at her soul. In an instant, the purity of her heart began to fracture. "Eleonora," Mara shouted, as Bella's form began twisting into the very essence of the demon's influence, taking hold on her. Eleonora and her squad watched in horror as the sacred sister transformed, her armor cracking apart, revealing her flesh as it became adorned with chaotic symbols that mocked the Emperor's light. "Join us," Bella hissed, her voice layered with the seductive tones of Slaanesh. "Embrace your desires, your true self." "No," Eleonora cried, taking a step back. "Fight it, sister." But Bella simply laughed as it echoed through the halls, mingling with the seductive whispers that flooded in Eleonora's mind. A dark energy coursed through the cathedral, warping the very fabric of reality. One by one, the other sisters began to falter, the whispers resonating with their deepest fears and hidden longings. Mara's expression twisted in pain as she clutched her head. "Eleonora, it's so tempting." She staggered. A shadow flickered at the edges of her consciousness, and soon her gaze turned vacant. "I want to feel more. I want to know pleasure in its perfected form." She started removing her armor, revealing her bare body as chaotic markings began to bleed their way from the inside out onto her skin. She fought against the tide of despair, but it was as if the walls were closing in. The once pure intentions of her sisters now spiraled into a chorus of madness, each succumbing to Slaaneish's dark embrace. In a moment of clarity, Eleonora grasped the rosary hanging from her neck. "For the Emperor," she shouted, invoking the name that had always been her shield. But the echoes of the cathedral mocked her. Their laughter grew louder. "Your Emperor has abandoned you," Bella taunted, her voice now a cruel melody. "Join us. Feel the ecstasy of freedom from pain." Her voice became pleasurable moans as she levitated off of the floor, an invisible force granting her pleasures unimaginable to that of mere mortals. But Eleonora's faith burned brighter than the shadows closing in. Summoning every ounce of her resolve, she lunged forwards, her eviscerator roaring to life. "You will not take me, and you will not take my sisters." The two clashed, and the battle fiercely rang around them. Bella cackled as she clawed at Eleonora, seeking to tear her apart, limb from limb. But she also fought back with righteous fury, her prayers and battle cries forming a protective barrier against the encroaching madness of Slaanesh. "Your soul is a weapon," she shouted, parrying Bella's blows, desperate to reach the sister buried beneath the taint. "Fight it, Bella. Remember your oaths." And for a brief moment, Bella hesitated, a flicker of recognition breaking through the haze. But the demon within her surged forth, driving her into a frenzied attack, overwhelming Eleonora with raw power. And in that moment of despair, she remembered the bond they had forged, the light they had shared in the darkest times. And with a final desperate prayer, she unleashed her weapon against the embodiment of the taint before her. "For the Emperor, for our sisterhood." The eviscerator sliced through the air, cleaving the corrupted Bella in half, releasing a howl that reverberated through the cathedral. The echoes faded into silence as the remnants of Slaaneish's influence dissipated. Eleonora fell to her knees, panting, the weight of loss heavy upon her heart. Around her, the shadows receded, revealing the remnants of her squad. Eleonora's spirit ached for what had been taken, but she knew that the fight was far from over. Gathering her remaining sisters, she rose, fueled by vengeance and resolve. "We will cleanse this world of the filth that dares to tempt us. Together, we will honor our fallen sister and uphold the Emperor's will." As they marched deeper into the heart of the cathedral, the battle for their souls continued, each step a testament to their faith against the whispers of Slaanesh. The light of the Emperor would shine bright, no matter the shadows that sought to consume them. Or so they thought. For Slaanesh loves to give a faint beacon of hope before snuffing it out, engulfing their souls into the bowels of lust, depravity, and chaos.
Always used to put my freedom first, and then